Hi, Tanya. Thank you so much
Hi.
for joining me today.
Thank you for having me. This is exciting.
I've been a fan for years, approximately 25 perhaps. This year, as you know, I Represent is turning 25, your amazing
Yes.
debut album. And I just am so thankful for this time to get to celebrate the art you've created and also talk about what's up next for you. So, how does it feel in 2026 still hearing about I Represent?
It's insane. My kids, I have kids. I have 21-year-old, a 10-year-old, and a 5-year-old, and they're all about some Tanya Mitchell. So we've been listening to it like it never went off the radio.
I
So
mean, hello, same
I
here.
know, I know. This means so much to me. People reach out from all over the world, different countries, that stayed over, like places I've never performed, and just, showing their support. And I'm just so grateful. I cannot believe it's been this long.
I think that speaks to what a strong project you created, that even in countries where it wasn't released or you were even promoted, people are still reaching out. Like in my research for this interview, I found Russian fan pages for you. You're global. Come on.
Oh, we're about to be. All this social media stuff, we didn't have this back then when I Represent was this is new.
Abs- Really, I feel like y'all were kind of almost the guinea pigs with Napster and the blogs you had. So it was there, but it was not at all what it is today, you know?
Yeah, Napster was a huge thing. That came out at the exact same time as I released my album, and it was such a bummer.
Gosh, I mean, it's crazy how the goalposts are constantly changing in this industry. You can work your life to one goal, and then right when you get there, they're like, oh, just kidding. This is the way the
Yes.
industry is now. So it's
Yes.
so unfair. So for someone like you who has persisted through and continued to make art regardless, I respect that so much. And I
Thank
feel like that's
you.
kind of what you represent as an artist. So I love
I
that about you.
represent. Yeah, I represent.
So before we get into the I Represent days, can we take it back to the TJ Tucker? How did you get to the Barbara Mandrell Studios? She's a country music legend, and I love
It
that about you.
is. So a lot of my past, my dad worked at Loretta Lynn's ranch for over 30 years. He had a little variety shop there. I grew up there on the ranch, but I knew her children and they ran the ranch. So I just kind of grew up around the country music. Of course, being from Tennessee, you got your Dolly Parton and your Tanya Tucker and stuff back. And a lot of that was inspiration for me. So before I could even talk, my parents realized I could like hum and I could carry a tune. And my dad was really showy. He was a magician, so he always had on the sparkle jackets, and he was a cowboy magician, so he wore his hat. Definitely one of a kind character. When I was like 7, my dad took me up to Nashville and just let me record in her little studio there, and I did "Lost in Your Eyes" by Debbie Gibson, and I still have it on cassette tape here.
Wow.
And then I went back and I did Toy Soldiers by Martika. That song went a little bit better for me because it wasn't my first time in the studio. So I felt at home. It was like I'd never been there before, but it felt like home.
That's what I see, when I've found your YouTube videos of you singing as a child in your home bedroom, and you were born a star, it feels. And even growing up in this tiny town in Tennessee, I love hearing the support your parents gave you, taking you to all these fairs, talent shows. And I also grew up in a really small town in Paris, Texas, which is where I fell in love with Tanya Mitchell. And I felt
Oh,
like, the whole pop world was a bit of an escape for me at the time. It helped me feel
yes.
connected to what my future could be. So, from another small town kid, I love that your parents
Yes.
helped you realize your dreams.
Yes, so that started really early. Like I said, before I could even talk, they were giving me microphones, and I was like, yeah, 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 in the microphone. But my dad, like I said, he was in the show business, and we're around celebrities and stuff. So that's kind of where it got started for sure. But he spent every last penny he ever made on, outfits for me or music equipment, anything I needed, travel. It was much cheaper back then. But my mom sacrificed. She was a stay at home mom. She ended up going on tour with me, which I was very thankful for because, I was 17 and around
Right.
some not so good people sometimes.
That's come up in some of my conversations with other artists. There's a few who were able to have, the privilege of their parents traveling with them, and they always are thankful for that, which is interesting. As a 17-year-old pop star, you would imagine maybe you'd want to have all this independence and live the rock and roll lifestyle. So I'm glad you had her to ground you.
Yes, not me. I've always been a rule follower kinda, and, I would have been fine without my mom because Lynn was on tour with me too, and she's like my second mom. But I needed it, like, it was just meant to be, and I'm very thankful for it.
Well, I do feel like all that hard work your parents did and investment has paid off because, like I said, we're still here talking about your talent and your music today. So, can you tell me about? Okay, wait, hold on, rewind. You just told me you were a rule follower. However, in your most recent Facebook Live, you did tell me or the audience that your parents gave you a shot of whiskey before you
Yeah.
did that fateful performance with
Yeah.
where you
Yeah.
met Justin
So so
Timberlake's
so there
father.
was this one time.
And that's all
But
we have
yeah,
to say
hey,
about that.
if had that not happened, I may not have been able to do the show. Like, I was so sick. It was bad. It was really, really bad, and my parents took really good care of me, so, that was the night that changed my life.
Well, that sounds like something my parents would do. True Southern parenting.
Yes.
Whatever it takes responsibly, they'll make sure you're okay.
Yes.
Obviously, people have heard the story about how you were discovered by singing at a St. Jude's benefit, and fatefully, Justin Timberlake's grandfather was in the audience. Do you remember what song you performed there or anything else about that besides being sick?
I wanna say my roster back then definitely included, like, Jody Messina, and I'm pretty sure I did some Tanya Tucker, and then I did some pop, which probably would have been, like, Mariah Carey or something like that at the time. So it was like a mix, just like my cassette tapes that I have. There was one cassette tape that was a little rock and a little country, and then there was another one that were all original songs. And then the other one had a little bit more love songs, but it was always still a mix of country and pop, which is kinda what we're doing now. And then when Shania Twain came out, that changed everything.
Any man of mine that wants the love, better show me a teasing, squeezing, pleasing kind of time. I need a man who knows how the story goes. It's gotta be a heartbeat, funky, breathtaking, earthquaking kind of love.
I love that there's sort of a blur between genres now because, especially as a teenager, your taste is changing constantly. Of course, you're going to sing country, pop, rock because that's what you do as a teenager. You
Yes.
do it all.
So there's an interesting story right there that not many people know. When I was 15 and I was just starting to meet Justin's mom, that was the pop route, obviously. Well, I was singing at Loretta Lynn's ranch in front of my dad's shop, and this gentleman approached me right around this same time, and he was the owner of Tootsie's in Nashville and wanted me to do a country showcase. We were in the middle of setting that up, so I literally had to choose pop or country.
I think you made a good choice
I think
because
so
now you can
too.
do whatever you want, you know?
Yes, we made it.
Do people presume that because you're from the South that you automatically lean toward country?
Oh, yes. Oh, yes, I get that a lot because growing up, I always sang country. That's all I did growing
But you
up.
don't now.
No.
Well, despite you being wrapped up in the Timberlake in sync world, one thing I loved about you was that you weren't this pre-manufactured pop star. You didn't come from the Mickey Mouse Club. You were very clearly Tanya Mitchell, like from Tennessee, straight from the county fair to the major label situation. There's this one quote from an interview I found of yours where you said, "I'd say I never grew up in the spotlight. I was never on the Mickey Mouse Club or anything like that. All I did was grow up doing fairs and talent shows and stuff." And this is the important part. I just want everyone to know that you don't have to be somebody to be somebody.
I remember that quote. I remember that quote.
And I think that's also what you represent.
Absolutely. I mean, I grew up in a single wide trailer. We only had like maybe one stop sign if we were lucky. Maybe they put that up later. Since then, the city I grew up in has kind of grown just a little bit, as far as population, but it's still just so small. And all these other people that I've met, Brittany grew up in a super nice home. Justin grew up in a super nice home. Like I said, my dad made sure every piece of money he made went towards investing in me. So we probably could have had all of that, but my dad made sacrifices so that we could do this.
So how is it, coming from a more, I hate to use this word, but sort of humble background, and now you're in the world with Justin Timberlake, his mother is representing you, Larry Rudolph, one of the top entertainment lawyers, is also on your team. How does that feel?
That was a lot to take in at 15. You kind of feel out of place, I guess, at first when you're around, because NSYNC wasn't like huge in America. I had no idea who they were. But as they got a little bit more famous and I started like meeting them and stuff, at first it was overwhelming. It was just like, because like I said, you don't have to be somebody to be somebody. So I didn't grow up like this. And just knowing the magnitude of what they were putting into the music industry and knowing that I was just in the presence of them, I was just so grateful for it. And it was just like family immediately as soon as I got over those nerves.
You can tell that in the press and the photos I see of you with Justin, all the other guys,
Yes.
and with Lynn, like it just feels like a family vibe.
Yeah, and it is. It is. The first time I ever went to Millington to his grandfather's house, I walked in, it felt like home. Like it was so comfortable. They made me feel like I was one of the grandkids. I mean, I guess I kind of was. I've known them since I was 15.
Flash forward a little bit to 1999, late 1999. I know you ended up signing with Motown, but before this, you actually recorded a song or two with R.F. Martin.
The way that became about was when I met up with Larry Rudolph and Lynn, and we were going to go shop for a deal. They flew me out to New York, and I went to 3 labels. I went to Motown, Jive, and Atlantic Records. Atlantic Records said they wanted to hear me sing a song with him. Of course, at the time, I had no idea who he was.
Yeah.
Right? So many years later, I'm just like, jaw hit the floor. Like, what is this? Like, I'm in the presence of greatness. Like, this is history making. So we went in and it was just a very quick, raw demo. It was an original song that they provided. So we went in there and we knocked it out like in an hour or something like that. And a couple of days later, they said, well, we definitely want to sign you. We just need to, figure out the dotting the I's and the crossing of the T's. And then when I went to Jive, I sang for Clive Davis. Now, at the time, I also didn't know how big he was in the industry. So face to face, I am singing to Clive Davis. And as soon as I got done, he said, we absolutely would love to sign you, but you'll play second to Britney because she was kind of new and really popping off at the time. So that
Right.
felt a little wonky.
You don't want to hear that. Like,
No,
not good
no.
to
And
hear.
so Larry Rudolph, I believe he was part of Britney's management company, and he was the lawyer shopping my deal. So, the way it intertwined, I don't know if I just wasn't obviously meant to be signed to Jive, but I walked into Motown. I was so nervous. I grew up R&B. I love Motown. The 50s are like my favorite style of music. So walking into Motown, because I knew about Motown,
Yeah.
and I just stand in front of these A&R guys at their little conference table. I just grab a water bottle. I'm like, here we go. And I start singing. They loved that, by the way. They loved that. And as soon as I got through singing, they just made faces like this the entire time I was performing. And I was like, they don't like me. They're going to kick me out, something. As soon as I got through singing, they go, yeah, we want to sign you. We'll sign you today.
Any idea what song that was?
Dream Lover by Mariah Carey is what I sang.
Come and set me away. Set me up, take me down, take me anywhere you want to, baby. Now I need your soul to spread. Won't you please come around? 'Cause I wanna share forever with you.
November 99, you're signed to Motown at 17. From your description, I have to just delete this question because my next question was, did you ever feel out of place at Motown, given the label wasn't really known for teen pop acts? Even though they had 98 Degrees and Our Angels, I was going to ask if you ever knew them, but how was your
98
experience at
Degrees,
Motown?
yes. We were around each other a lot, but not the other group I'm not familiar with. But as far as Motown, I would say obviously I was comfortable with the Motown thing, but being the pop, I think they were wanting to make a twist because everybody was looking for their Britney. Everybody was looking for their superstar. So it felt like the right time.
Yeah, I love that. And they obviously signing you on the spot has got to feel good. Like you feel really wanted there. So why wouldn't you make that choice, you know?
Yes, absolutely. And well, it took a couple of days. I remember Lynn, she was calling because they had to, fix all the, the percentages and the whatever. And so I guess there was a bidding war going on for maybe a couple of weeks or something. And then I guess Motown won out and it was a $2.2 million record deal.
Okay. Okay, come on. I miss that late 90s money we had in the music
I know
industry.
it. Nothing's the same anymore.
Like everyone's just
upfront
selling
money.
makeup now. One of the big parts of your story drops kind of even before your first single is released, which is in December 2000 when Star Magazine ties you to the Britney Justin breakup. And I found this article from, I think, your hometown paper, the Jackson Sun. Is that
Oh my
where you're
goodness.
from?
Yes, yes.
And it said basically, Britney finally staked her claim on Justin because he'd been hanging out with the up and coming Mitchell. And then you said, it was a total shock to me. I read it and was like, what? I'm never around him. I've met him a couple of times. So I don't mean to like surprise you with that, but I just want to say that like it's just such a weird time in the industry to like, you haven't even debuted yet and there's already chatter, seeds being planted. And it's not about your talent, it's about a stupid rumor.
Right.
Britney Spears still dating, what's his face, Justin.
Yeah. You ever see her on the tour?
She comes to some of the shows.
Really? What's she like? Do you talk to her?
She's really sweet. She's
Really?
a great girl. She's wonderful.
How did that hit you personally at 16, 17? There's no social media to set the record straight.
Yeah, it was hard to have a voice back then for sure. It was, I guess, a shocker just because it was on such a magnitude of Star Magazine. I remember going into the grocery stores, and seeing Star Magazine and seeing all the celebrity gossip. I've never bought one before until I was in it.
Yeah.
I got a phone call from Lynn. She says, "Do not answer the phone. If Star Magazine calls you, they're running an article. Do not answer the phone." So I didn't. I never spoke to Star Magazine, but I do have a copy of it online.
Okay, good. Well, I think you made your response with your album a few months later. You're like, here's my statement. Boom.
Yeah,
You didn't have
exactly.
to speak back on that because it was false.
I represent.
Hey, hey. Okay, so flash forward to February 27th, 2001. We've got the Broken Promises single release, which is such a fun song. I love how rhythmic it is. I feel like you really like it's such a great marriage of lyrics and melody and rhythm. Especially in the chorus, I can just kind of you have to dance to it. It was also pretty successful. It peaked at number 38 on the Billboard Top 40, number 17 on the weekly Top 40. It was written and produced by Dino Esposito and Scott Rammer. Was this the first song you recorded for the album?
It was.
Yeah,
It
and
sure
then
was.
how was that session?
Oh, it was a little tough at first. I had been in the studio, like I said, I did my cassette tapes and stuff kind of as an amateur child and the Barbara Mandrell studio and stuff. But we went to Vegas. This was my first time to Vegas. We stayed at the MGM Grand. I mean, this is like huge for me. So I go in there and we start recording it. It goes great. He's a perfectionist and I got my feelings hurt a little bit. So I just had to go out and like take a breather. And because I'd been working on this song, learning it and hearing the demo and stuff. So I had really been working very hard towards it. And we were even working on dance moves and stuff at the time. So I thought I had it in the bag, but then I was humbled really quick because I was like, "Oh, gotta get through this, gotta get through this." And we knocked it out in 2 days.
I don't want to give him all the credit because it is your performance, but it is so good. Whatever he pulled out of you, it's just
Yes,
such a
exactly.
I can really hear like it's just done so well. I can't really find the words to describe it, but it's just a perfect little pop package right
We just
tied up in
had
a
to
bow.
find each other and click, because
Yeah.
sometimes people don't click at least at first, and there's one song on my album, the songwriter producer guy got really mad because he didn't want me to record it. So we didn't really have the best relationship in the studio. It happens, but it only happened once.
I mean, you don't have to comment on this, but how unprofessional to let someone know that you don't want them singing your song, but whatever.
Yeah, and it's rough for your self-esteem and stuff. It's like, I can do this just as well as, the girl he was wanting to have the song, which I won't mention any names right now. We might pull out the archives later.
Exactly. When I stop pressing record, just kidding. Um, so were you happy with this choice as a debut single, or did you campaign for something else?
I was. I thought it sounded a lot like Britney's stuff that was out at the time. So I was kind of pulling more for I Represent, especially since that's what they named the album. I had no
Right.
say so in that.
Gotcha.
So I liked I Represent, but I loved also Broken Promises. I just thought it sounded too similar in certain ways.
For sure. It definitely does have that teen pop turn of the century vibe.
Tell me what's on your mind. What happened to the I love yous, the hugs and kisses and the rendezvous? What happened to me and you? You said you never changed. What happened, baby? Talk to me. You used to be sugar sweet, just like candy. Now you're breaking my heart with all your broken promises.
I think that's also what makes it so great, but also maybe even a little, I don't want to say misleading, but we're going to get into your album, but it's not very poppy, I feel like it's a very
No,
soulful R&B album. So for that to be your debut single, maybe isn't the best representation of the album as a whole.
exactly. I agree.
Describe your sound, your style, and particularly, there's a lot out there that's called this bubblegum stuff.
Right.
How do you respond to that, and how do you, stay away from that label? Because you're obviously very committed to your music. It's very serious for you.
Exactly. Well, I describe my music as pop R&B. It's really not bubblegum at all. And if you get the album, I Represent in stores now. If you get it, you'll see. It's really nothing like bubblegum. It's nothing like that. Now,
But the single, like, we got to talk about how successful it was because really, for the amount of promotion you received and also the competition at the time, this is a great feat and just speaks to how strong the song was. I have this quote also from the Jackson Sun. It says, "The song is climbing charts around the country. It trounced competition from Jennifer Lopez, Dream, and other big name artists to stay at #1 on radio station Q102's nightly top 9 feature for about a week and a half.
Wow.
So, like this song is connecting with people.
Actually, locally here, we had a I guess it was like a battle of the songs or something because they would have a little countdown or whatever. And I remember it was always my song and the crazy song, Butterfly.
Oh,
You're my
yeah.
butterfly, sugar, baby. Right? So both of these are alternating between 1 and 2 for like weeks and weeks and weeks and weeks and weeks. So I remember that so well.
Yeah. Wait, I love your nails. I just
Thank
noticed
you.
them. So cute.
Little sparkles.
Yes. We have to talk
Daggers.
about your iconic Y2K fashion. That's coming up as well.
Yes. Oh, yes.
So, I don't want to beat a dead horse, but obviously there was no video for Broken Promises. And in the era of music video, that just seems like such a missed opportunity. Again, I don't want this to come off the wrong way, but was there a sense of like maybe lack of support from the label once you had made the record?
Maybe. Like I'm today, I'm still not even sure what happened. I don't know if it was like a conflict of interest thing. Like I said, Clive Davis and Larry Rudolph and Justin's mom. Like I'm not sure. Because with the song with no music video, like I used to go to TRL and be in the audience. When I was in town and I was recording or performing or whatever, I was in the audience. So with like 98 Degrees being there, I can't remember some of the artists now, maybe Boys to Men or something, and the videos were so important. And everybody knew that. There was no social media. So I was very, very disappointed. That was probably the biggest disappointment ever.
Yeah. There's a lot of things that are different about the industry today, but especially back then, music videos, the budgets were insane. Like, I don't think any video got made for less than like $500,000. And that was probably a cheap video. I think, if this were today, it would be easy to call up anyone with an iPhone. You could make a music video today. But,
Absolutely.
just a different time. And I'm sorry that that song didn't get the push it deserved. But like I said, these chart peaks and people still streaming and remembering the song today speaks to what a strong record you made.
Yes. Thank you so much.
So on April 10th, 2001, this amazing album is released. Girl, you have a cake with your album on it.
I remember that was in Orlando. I remember it so well. And they took me over. I can't remember what the name of the store was now, but I have a picture in front of the spread of my CDs, new release and stuff. Man, it was surreal, like surreal.
Yeah, how does that feel? Like, growing up idolizing, Debbie Gibson, all these country artists, and now you get to walk into the record store and see Tanya Mitchell.
It was just unfathomable. Still now. I mean, I remember how I felt. It was just like all my parents' hard work and mine have finally paid off. And it was just the happiest I'd obviously ever been in my entire life.
Well, I actually was a cassette listener back in 2001, so I still have this cassette version.
I didn't even know they made that.
I guess they still stocked them at Hastings in Paris, Texas, where I
I
live
don't
by my
even have
albums.
one of those.
Yeah,
Can
so
I have
like
your
it's
autograph?
cute. Yeah, girl, I'll send you an autographed copy of your own album, but it's cute. It's like the little mini version. But
That's adorable.
I bring it up because I want to read you my own Amazon.com review from June 5th, 2001 that I uncovered.
I'm listening.
Okay, here we go. I titled it Talented Tanya. As an owner of Tanya Mitchell's CD, let me tell you that it is most definitely worth the money. It's basically fun, upbeat pop songs with slow ballads that remind you of what it's like being in love. I Represent is a fun, upbeat song with great bass and a message telling guys that girls aren't just playthings. A Place Like This is a ballad about a good girl wondering what she's doing when she takes a walk on the bad side. This is a typo. Wasted Breathe is a great big bassed, I think I meant big bassed song about a girl being told lies and not wanting to hear anymore. I Want to Be the Only One is another big based upbeat song that gets you dancing and singing right off the intro. The rest of the songs are great too. Trust me, the CD is totally worth every penny you got, and you can usually get it for less than every penny you got at any of your local stores that carry CDs. LOL. So go buy it today.
Oh, goodness. That is so precious.
2001, I'm 8 years old in third grade, out here online, buy this album. Isn't that insane?
You were 8?
Yeah.
Oh my gosh. Can I have your autograph? You were the sweetest.
No, Tanya, I need yours. This feels so healing to my inner child to be able to speak to you
Major
about this
same.
record.
This means so much to me. Like, I really wish you understood that.
Well, back then, like we spoke about, there wasn't much social media. So Amazon.com was a form of promoting. You could leave a
Yes.
review and put it on your little wish list and let people know
Oh my
about that
gosh,
album.
I love that so much. Thank you for that.
Do you remember what kind of response the album got, either from your label or your peers? Like, what were you hearing feedback wise?
Well, great things. When I opened for NSYNC, Brittany had come out to one of the shows to watch Justin, and so she sat in the VIP area and she sat right there and told my mom and Lynn, she goes, I wish my show was this good when I first came out. I know. I know. So, yes, on that. The fans obviously loved it. I had quite the fan base. Even when I ended up getting dropped from my label, I still had fans wanting to be on message boards and running, like, trying to get the fan clubs going back up and newsletters. And, 'cause social media was still kind of, I mean, brand spanking new around 2002
Yeah.
area. But I still had people like wanting to push and push and push. And so the support and yeah, everything. Yeah, everybody was just amazing. I heard really nothing bad.
And same here, like, from the fan perspective, the buzz was always so positive about your album. Like we've spoken, there were so many label carbon copy Britneys, and a lot of them didn't get as good reviews or response as you, because it was clear that they were chasing another image. And your album, I felt, really felt like you and felt
Yeah.
genuine to you as a person. You've mentioned in previous interviews not loving the album cover, which is, and it's funny you told me the story about the label reps at Motown looking at you like this, because I'm like, you did that on the album cover, girl.
Nailed it.
Do you have any other memories of that photo shoot? Like, it's kind of a big deal to be a teenage girl shooting your album cover. Were
Oh,
there
I
any?
very much remember that. I believe it was, I really can't remember now if it was in New York or LA. I want to say New York. I walked in into this, like, it just seemed like a warehouse. And when I walked in, there was this like funky looking cool chick and she had like tons of makeup and then there were clothes hanging all over the place. And so I walked in, I was like, I feel like a superstar. This is wild, getting to wear all these like designer names. And so we go in there and I remember probably 4 or 5 outfits. And I kept saying, can I take any of this home? I like these pants. Can I take these pants home? And I ended up coming home with maybe like 2 full outfits, which I was surprised because most of the time they won't let you do that unless you pay for it. So I guess the record label paid for it or whatever. And I remember I got my hair done that day. Like I'd been blonde my entire life up until like puberty. And then I asked my parents if I could start bleaching it again because it's all I knew. So I had, the blonder hair when I went in and they wanted obviously to set me apart. So the dark hair. And at the time I was just not happy I didn't like the style of the hair. I didn't like the color, the look on my face. I think it ended up working altogether. It kind of worked itself out because it is I represent. So it's just like, mess with me. Like it's
And I
tough.
won't. I won't, Tanya. I won't.
It's just so
I'm not.
powerful.
I'm not
So
crossing her.
I had a problem with it for a while, but I came to love it.
I can see maybe where, like, I'm a performer as well, where, like, it sucks that you don't get the final say when your image is out there, but it's a great photo. And then, there's other images in the package. I have this one of your headshots from Universal here.
I love that
Yeah,
outfit. I remember that so well. I
kind
didn't
of
keep
got the
any of those pieces though.
you didn't want the glittery pants. It says
I
the
actually do have
photographer.
a pair of shoes over here on my shelf that I wore during the photo shoot.
Good to keep those memories around.
Yes.
So one thing I wanted to discuss was how the album feels a bit more mature than a lot of your peers at the time, and it not raunchy mature, because a lot of people were like pushing the envelope, trying to, like, be almost shocking in a way. So yours wasn't
Yes.
mature in that way. It was mature in your tone and your vocal performance. Did you sense that difference while making it? And your tone and your phrasing is so soulful. Like, was that a conscious decision while making the album?
I think it was just more natural for me. During certain songs, there were times where the producer was like, don't say me, say May. Like it's gonna be May, right? It's like June and July. But anyway, so they were trying to like tweak the way I said things and like, certain accents or things like that. But, ultimately in the end, I think I just came out because I had never been trained. I had never had vocal lessons. I didn't understand what they were kind of wanting me to do. I didn't so I just feel like it was just more natural.
That reads, and it just shows kind of also how related country and R&B are. Like, you grew up singing country, and I feel like people don't realize how their histories are so intertwined, especially coming from Tennessee. That's a big part of your
Yes.
culture there.
And now we've got Jelly Roll and all the other people that
Yeah.
do country and rap and stuff. So it's cool to see the world open up to these ideas. And hopefully there's a more of a market for people trying to get out there now because there's an audience for everybody. You just can't give up.
So let's quickly walk through some of these songs and see what memories they bring up. Starting with track one, I Represent. It's written by Josh Schwartz, Brian Kyrolf, and Nate Butler, who also created Aaron Carter's Aaron's Party and Willa Ford's I Want to Be Bad. You're in great company here. What did it feel like to, release this song that's sort of your defining message of your album?
I represent those who want that, those who say that, those who play that. Yes, I represent those who want that, those who say that, the girls who play that. T to the O to the N to the YA. We're about to start doing things my way. First you leave it, then you try to come back. Listen up, boy, I ain't having it.
This was one of my favorite songs on the album. So obviously recording it was just super fun. We ended up doing 2 songs together, the same guys and myself. I Represent was so empowering while recording it. And then the rapping part, the T to the O to the N to the YA, was not in there originally. So we came up with that in the studio. So it was a last minute like throw in, but I think it worked out. I love that song.
How'd you come up with the title?
Well, there's a song on the album called I Represent, and it's just to say that I represent girls everywhere, for guys who treat you wrong and do all this stuff. So I represent all the girls.
All right, love the attitude and especially the sparkle and glitter. I love
Thank
all that.
you.
So you're already all right with me.
It's, what a fun way to start the album. I love how the song feels both minimalist and maximalist at the same time. There's a lot of space in the track, but there's still all these like fun sound effects that really feel like a time capsule of 2001, like the
Yes.
TV sound, like all the cutouts. It's very cool.
Well, the melody also is from like the Wizard of Oz, like we represent. Da, 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 we represent. Did I just blow your mind?
Tanya, I'm shook. I am shook. As a lifelong Tanya Mitchell and Wizard of Oz fan, how have I never put this together?
Oh, that's why I said they should use my song in the new movies and stuff.
Yeah, no, Wicked 2 comes out in a few weeks. Who do I have to email?
Me
Like,
too.
yeah, I'm like, I'm on it. I'm on it. And I also love that this was like a rare female anthem in the male dominated teen pop world. And even when we did have female songs, they were often about boys. So
Yes.
even though this was kind of about boys, it wasn't really. So I love
Yes,
that.
exactly. Yep.
Moving on to track. Oh, I lied. We already talked about Broken Promises, so I'm going to
Yes.
skip that. Track 3 is Stay, which, if you're releasing a teen pop album in 2001, track 3 has to be a ballad, especially with Spanish guitar elements. But I think you won the race of the best track 3 ballad. It introduces your collaborations with Gan Rubin, who wrote a lot on the album and whom you've gone on to work with to this day. So talk to me about this song.
And one day the memory of our love will bring you back to me. Oh, and when it's all said and done, baby, only one.
Oh man, Stay. I want to say this one was also done in New York, and Gin and I, we just mesh. Like we're just a team, and it was immediate. We hit it off. His wife was there doing some like background vocal. Of course, they weren't married at the time, but like background vocals, and just kind of in the studio, and he just made it so comfortable. It was just effortless. We ended up playing that song at my dad's funeral because that was like one of his favorite ballads on the album too. So it became to be something super special. I always
good.
loved the song.
So in a way that meaning has changed for you a bit, maybe from when it was recorded to today.
Yes,
That's
absolutely.
really beautiful.
Thank you.
I kind of love that about pop music, how a song can be, it can transition for meanings and mean something totally different to someone else. And also different to you at different times in your life.
Definitely. And I could re-record the whole album right now because I've lived through every single word
Yeah.
that is on that album since I recorded it.
And you'll really represent it now, won't you?
Yes.
One of my questions was, I know a lot of these songs were written, you don't have writing credits on them, but were they probably written with you in mind? And then also, how did you learn them? Broken Promises, you said it was sent to you ahead of time, but like, Are you learning it in the studio that day?
No. So, and this is weird because this really didn't happen with a lot of other artists, and I still don't understand the reasoning behind this. But I was shopped 12 songs, and those are the 12 songs that went on the album. There are zero other songs floating around with my voice on them from that time from Universal. I don't believe they were written with me in mind. That I don't know. That would actually be interesting to find out if I could talk to some of the writers again and ask. But I think that they were maybe shopping their songs, and Universal was just like, okay, this sounds like a good, so they just kind of sent it to me. So I would get demos and then I would learn them. And then, of course, I would go into the studio and change it up just a little bit with my ad libs or some runs or something like that. But it was pretty much like the demo for the most part. But that's the way that the producers wanted it. So
This like concept is so cool to me. You're a teenage kid in Tennessee. Are you receiving demos in the mail?
yes,
Like snail
yes,
mail?
yes, yes. CDs, cassette tapes, like whatever they could send. Yes.
I just love the logistics behind that. That's so interesting to me.
I know it. I know it. It's like, because now I can just shoot you something right now from my phone. We
Yeah.
couldn't do that stuff back then.
I live in LA now and I'm a choreographer here. One of my friends is an artist and I saw her post a teaser for her new single on Instagram and I was like, hold on, I'm obsessed with your new song. I texted her this. I was like, I can't wait 10 days for it to come out. Like, text me your song right now so I can start choreographing something to
Yes,
it.
exactly.
She literally sent me the song. I'm at work doing my day job and it starts playing immediately through my AirPods and I'm like, here we go. So anyway, that's just speaks to the
I
change of the
know
world
it.
now.
And sometimes I didn't even know demos were coming in the mail. They would just show up. And I'll be like, oh, here's another one.
You're like, oh, here's my next top 40 smash. Thank you so much.
Yeah. Let me just hide this one behind my back.
Yeah. Another one. Thank you.
There was only one song that was shopped to me that I was going to record but never did, and it was "Waiting for Tonight" by J Lo.
Okay. Well,
And
maybe
so
we should include that in the.
Justin's mom actually said, I don't think this is a good solo song. I think it should be more for a girl group. So I don't know. She had a girl group at the time. So I don't know if she was just wanting that song for them or if she really just kind of felt that way. Cause, I couldn't really tell. I just liked the song. And in the demo, it was one girl singing. So to me, it sounded great. And then J Lo came out with it. And I was like,
Yeah.
bummer.
Well, I vote that on the upcoming re-recorded I Represent album that I'm just now manifesting, that we include Waiting for Tonight,
That
as a
would be
bonus track.
amazing.
Yeah,
Yes,
why
such a good
not?
idea.
Maybe even like a countrified version. Who knows?
Okay, you're giving me ideas.
The reason I ask is because on one of your early fan pages, I saw two song titles listed that aren't on your album and I didn't recognize them. One is, and I'm curious if you ever recorded these.
Okay.
One is called If I Ever See Heaven, and then
Okay.
the other is called Something Beautiful There.
I've
Did those ring a
never heard
bell?
of Something Beautiful There, but the other one was written by Diane Warren and it
Yeah.
was shopped to me, but I never got to record it.
Okay. It was also recorded by Jessica Folker Voice, which is Pink's girl group before she was famous. And
I had no
also,
idea. I'm gonna have to go look this up. Thank you for this information.
oh yeah, girl, I'll send it to you. It's a great
Yes,
song. And then
please.
also the girl group I5, who were kind of promoted around your same time, also ended up on their album. So
Okay.
I
It was
just
shopped.
somehow
I have the demo CD. I just never got to sing it. It's such a good
I,
song.
I love that you've kept up with it all these years. That's good to
I'm
know.
trying.
The next track is one of my favorites, which is You're the One I Want.
Tell me could it be the way you want me? Tell me could it be the day that you touch me? Boy, you know you're the one I want. Yeah, you're the one I want. In the middle of the night when I want someone to hold me, you're the only one that knows how to love me. You're the one I want. Yeah, you're the one I want.
You're the one I want. Yeah, you're the one I want. You're the one I want. Yeah, you're the one I want.
I love this song. It feels like bubblegum perfection. I know you mentioned Debbie Gibson was a big influence when you were growing up. You listened to
Yes.
her, so I can kind of feel that influence glimmering through the harmonies. Back in my 2001 review, I said, this is a catchy, upbeat song with fun words that get you dancing. And then, also in 2001, the Knoxville News Sentinel said, the sweetly organic retro song is refreshingly undecorated and handled with aplomb by the singer. We gotta look up what aplomb means because I do not know.
I didn't even know they did an article of anything on me.
Oh yeah, they have a review of your whole album. I'll send it to you. Then they go on to say, this kind of material would leave other junior divas shriveling in the glare of the undiverted spotlight. Basically, they're saying only Tanya Mitchell could record this
I
song.
have chills right now. You're blowing my mind.
Any thoughts on You're the One I Want?
Well, That was actually the song that we were wanting to put out next. That was gonna be the second single. When Universal kinda stopped returning phone calls and everything kinda started going quiet, Lynn told me herself, she was like, "If they don't do anything out of my own pocket, we're gonna release this song." And of course, it was one of the 3 songs that I had on the NSYNC tour. I had I Represent, You're the One I Want, and then Broken Promises. So I was used to singing it every night. The studio process was amazing. Like, it was so fun. I remember there was just one little part that we had to end up redoing, and I had fallen asleep on the couch, and it was like 3 a.m. So he wakes me up, and he's like, "Hey, you got to wake up and nail this part." So I jumped up and I listened to it, and nailed it the first time. But you can hear the little sleepy in my voice.
You can hear the sleepy in your voice. All we hear are these crazy ad libs at the end that just make me want to get up and dance. It's a really great song.
Thank you.
All right, moving on. Quite a mood shift from You're the One I Want. Track 5 is A Place Like This.
All of the songs that I recorded were done in 2 days. We would go in first and do the background vocals, and then I would come in again the next day and we would do the lead. So this particular song took 4 days. We had to go, like, everybody had to travel back to the studio and redo it because the first take was just so bad.
So
Universal
I
was not happy with it.
I love this song, and as I read you my review earlier, in 2001 I said it was about a good girl wondering what she's doing when she takes a walk on the bad side. Obviously, back then I did not know what we were talking about, and
Me
you
either.
know,
No clue.
it's like part of the beauty of art. Aging with music is like now I understand it in a different way that I'm in
Yeah,
my
now I listen
30s.
to it and I'm like, what was she doing?
Never thought that this could happen to me. I'm doing things I never thought that I would believe. Yeah. The time, the place, this I know in my heart. One other thing I know is that this isn't smart. Oh, I ask myself, what's a nice girl doing in a place like?
That song is a standout track for me, and would definitely love to hear a re-recorded version of that. Your third time recording it.
Absolutely. I'm manifesting this too. We've got to redo the whole album.
Yeah, come on. So then moving on to track 6, we have your reunion with Dino Esposito with Wasted Breath. Thoughts on this? Did you go back to Vegas to record it? Is this a
We
separate trip?
did. Yep. I guess it was his studio, and we were back in Vegas for that one, and this one went flawlessly. Like, he was complimenting me, like he was like, "You came in here, you knew your stuff." Like, so it was a very easy process song. We were cooler with each other then because we had gotten to know each other a little better from Broken Promises.
Yeah, I mean, you're a pro by this point. You've been
Yes.
flying all over the country recording your album. You know what's up.
Baby, the only thing I get from you is wasted breath, wasted time, wasted tears on my pillow when I cry, wasted days, wasted nights, wasted dreams that will never come to life.
Yeah, Wasted Breath is really good. I truly feel like it's Broken Promises Part 2. It has similar production elements. This upcoming track is your second one with Josh Schwartz, who did I Represent. So this is A Little Too Late. Another great ballad. Any thoughts or memories from recording this one?
Yes, it was probably the funnest song to record because I had a lot more creative freedom in there with this song. So some of the weird riffs and the weird things like we just came up with in the studio because, like I said, we got along great from I Represent, and our next song together was just even better. When you just click with somebody and it works. I just remember it being like just fun. They're
Yeah.
great guys. Like, they're so fun. And it was funny. We were laughing.
Well, you mentioned having fun with the ad libs, which I can really hear. I pointed out too at 152, I'll clip it in here, but you say, "That's not how love should be." And on the word be, it's just this crazy, gorgeous run.
That's not, no, that's not how love should be. It's a little too late. It's a little too soon for a brand new start. Time can only heal this broken heart, baby. You're a little too late.
And then again at 252, it's on the word ooh. You're like,
I'm just
It's so Whitney. It's so Whitney.
Yeah, they just let me have fun, and I was like, I don't even know what's about to pop out, but here we go.
So that was a question I was wondering while listening back to the album. Were you coached on these ad libs, or is that you?
Not really. A lot of them were in the demos, but beyond that, I would just throw something out. If they liked it, they kept it. If they didn't, then oh well. I
I
did it
love
anyway.
So, a lot of these songs are really sad and mature. Are you pulling from real life heartbreak? Or are you approaching this from more of an acting standpoint?
Definitely acting. I had not experienced anything on my album when I recorded it. I was like 16 or 17, maybe, being broken up with or something. Some of those songs were a little bit more relatable, but a place like this and Turnaround, those types of songs were just like acting. And the songwriters and producers and people, they really brought it out of me too. They'd be like, just think about, if this were to happen or something like that. So I guess I've got a little natural acting bone in my body.
No, you really do, Tanya. I feel like you're a true storyteller. It's so interesting to me to learn that you didn't necessarily write any of these songs because they sound like they're coming straight from your heart. And I think that just speaks to your talent and the way you can approach a song. Not anyone can do that.
That means a lot. It really does. Thank you.
I really do mean it. Next, we have I Don't Want to Fall in Love, which is another collaboration with Gen Rubin. I see it was recorded at Westlake Audio in LA, perhaps. I feel like this song, to me, it feels like the Act Two Disney princess ballad, like where she's missing the prince and she's longing for him. I just feel like it's such a gorgeous song, and I love the way your vocal builds throughout. Any thoughts or comments or memories on that song?
I just remember it was effortless with Gin. Just about every song was. It's like I remember it was really dark in the studio, and I think that they were kind of maybe doing that on purpose. Some candles, just the ambiance and everything was just it was amazing, but it was very effortless.
Yeah, I feel like that effortless feeling really translates on the record. I can hear it in that song.
I wasn't waiting until you came along. And now I need you to tell me where my heart belongs. But I don't wanna fall in love till I fall in love with you. And you show me what my heart already knew.
That's been a very popular song too amongst the fans. I've noticed there, a lot of the spins on it and people making videos and stuff on YouTube for it. It's a good
Yeah,
ballad.
I definitely think that could have been, a potential single for
Yes.
sure. Next on the album, we have The Only One. Actually, the next two songs, The Only One and Turn Around, are both by Gan Rubin and Denise Rich, and they were both done in LA. They're very different songs. The Only One is kind of more up tempo, which is one of his only, I feel like he mostly gave you ballads, so it's fun to hear his take on a up tempo song.
Yes, and that song sounded completely different when I recorded it. He went in and added like some guitars and stuff. And I mean, when I got the final thing, I was just like, this man's a genius.
I would love to hear the demo one day.
Yeah, I bet I could probably find it somewhere. It's not near me, but I bet I could. I'll have to look.
Yeah, that's cool. And also looking back on some of your performances, I really love the choreography and staging that y'all did for The Only One. As a dancer, I really appreciated that looking back.
I wanna be the only one to make you wanna come to me. I wanna be the only one you come on. I wanna be the only one you think of when you're feeling lonely. I wanna be the only one you can give it all to. I wanna be
And just seeing the camaraderie you had with your dancers and your choreographer, it looked like a fun crew.
It was amazing, man. We were just one big freaking party. It was amazing. They were just so supportive, and I was supportive of them, and you could just feel it. It's just like family. Again, everything aligned.
Two more songs in the album that we haven't spoken of. The next one is I Cry Real Tears, which was written by Reed Bertelny and Linda Thompson. Linda Thompson's kind of iconic. She was married to David Foster for years and wrote Whitney's I Have Nothing, Grown Up Christmas List.
Oh,
So
wow.
she has incredible credits. In previous interviews, you said that this was the only song that you could relate to at the time. I felt like when I was originally receiving the album, I felt the same way. As like a third grader little boy in Paris, Texas, for obvious reasons you can imagine, I was like, a target of bullying. And I felt like, okay, if Tanya Mitchell, this successful, gorgeous teen pop singer, is experiencing this, like it felt kind of humanizing to feel that someone else was going through that, even at your level of success. So,
Yeah, and that was such a
yeah.
struggle. That was a really hard time in my life. So when I first heard about this song, I received the demo in the mail, and it was Brandy was singing it, the R&B singer from the 90s. She was singing it. I mean, she sounds beautiful on it. Her voice is so airy and just, flowy and gorgeous. And then I heard my version and I was just like, mine sounds real. Like I'm not singing it with a beautiful, I mean, she's gorgeous, right? Love her, big fan. But the way I guess portrayed it was from those feelings. So yeah, it's kind of hard for me to listen to now too.
But I'm worth so much more, and so is my time. I cry I have real fears. I've got a heart that's beating inside. Sometimes it breaks, and when it aches, my eyes cry real tears.
I really do hear that like almost pleading in your voice in the second half of the song. You're really channeling that. So I'm so glad that song made the record.
Yes, me too.
I don't think this was intentional, but it sort of could be perceived as a clapback to, the Star magazine and all the blogs and forums dropping stupid rumors about the Justin, Britney stuff. Like, like they need to realize there's a real person behind the album and
Yes,
behind the persona.
absolutely. Absolutely.
So I love that song kind of portrayed that a bit. So rounding out the album, we have Should I Stay, which is our closing track.
This song was so fun. Like, this is the only song that didn't take 2 days. We got in there, we knocked it out in probably 4 hours, the entire song. Like, he was just like, he just stopped for a second. He goes, "You know what? I'm just gonna hit, record, and you just keep going." And I recorded it a few times. And he goes, "I got all I need. You can leave." It was the fastest song on the album. There's just
Being in
creative
it.
freedom. I could get in there and just dance. And like I said, I was, I guess, just really feeling it that day. And he was just like, "You're impressive. Just I'm gonna hit record. Just do it a couple of times and we're done." I was like, "Yes, sir."
Do you know what it means when you say that you wanna be with me? Should I stay or should I go? Should I stop or baby let it flow? 'Cause if I stay, you know I'll steal all your love away. Should I stay or should I go?
Well, we walked through the album, which was again released April 2001. The next kind of big thing for you is joining NSYNC's Pop Odyssey tour in May of 2001. What stands out about being in front of those crowds at that time? Any like backstage memories or standout moments?
I remember this so well. Walking outside of these stadiums where, 50 plus thousand people can be sitting and it's completely empty. And they're building the stage and you see, celebrities just kind of walking through and stuff. And it's just, you just feel like you're in a dream. Like you would go up to the little boxes, where you'd watch the games and stuff and you could just look down. I mean, that's what I remember the most is just seeing all of the empty seats, knowing soon they were going to be filled.
And this is, I mean, you've been performing all over your home state and around the area, but is this like kind of your first real performance as Tanya Mitchell?
Yeah, for sure. Like I said, I grew up doing talent shows. Everybody knew my name and that kind of stuff. But as me and a brand, and yes, big,
Wow.
big time for an 18-year-old. Unbelievable.
First of all, are they screaming for the minute you walk out, or do they reserve that for the guys?
They're amazing. I mean, the audience is just so loud. I mean, I can't
Can
believe
you hear
it.
yourself?
Yeah, but I
Because
mean,
I've heard the Beatles say that when they had their day, they just simply couldn't hear themselves. Can you hear yourself?
yes, I can hear myself.
You can hear yourself.
Yeah.
Okay. And is there any kind of nervousness attached to that? I mean, how long have you been singing, Tanya?
Professionally since I was 15 and I'm 18 now. So, I mean,
What's the biggest crowd you've played to?
like 200 besides the stadium. So now it's like 65,000 people.
Yeah. I mean, before you step out on stage in front of 65,000 people, is there a little bit of nervousness there?
A little bit, but I don't really get much nervous anymore. Once I hit the stage, I'm great.
Kind of hopping back, but still related to the NSYNC world. How was shooting Long Shot, which was called Jack of All Trades at the time?
This was all around Lou Pearlman at the time, and I was part of the Transcon group. I was never signed to Lou Pearlman or anything, thank goodness. But all these other artists were. So he was going to do a movie with every single celebrity he could come across. And so Lynn was like, well, do you want to go? I was like, well, of course I want to go. I'll get my acting chops going. So the first scene I was supposed to be in was supposed to be with Joey Fatone and I think it was Chris Kirkpatrick in a pizza shop or something. I was on set and everything. And for some reason, they removed me and put somebody else there. And they said, we're going to put you in tomorrow's shot. And I was like, all right, cool. I don't care. I'm getting experience. I'm getting to meet all these people. So the next day, the shot happens to be in Justin Timberlake and his mom and his best friend Trace, because we're all like family. So initially, I was walking down the stairs with another girl. We were like tennis girls on the tennis court. So we were coming down, and Jack was going to be walking towards us. So we were walking down. We were like, hi, Jack, like that. But it got cut, but I still got paid for it.
Hey.
But I actually have the movie somewhere in this house on
Oh,
DVD.
God.
I had to buy it on eBay, but
I did that recently a few months ago too, and yeah, it's an interesting movie. I will
it
say
is.
Lou Pearlman maybe made better songs than movies. But anyway,
Yeah.
can we for a minute discuss your iconic Y2K fashion choices? The cutout jeans, the pink hair pieces, the white bikini straps poking out from the
Ugh.
jean cutoffs.
I got no answers. No comment.
I mean this in a positive way. I loved your looks.
Yeah, I have no idea. If I liked it, I wore it. We used to be able to go shopping for, stage clothes and stuff when we were in certain cities, because I needed to match my dancers, but not be too matchy. So we just got creative. And there's even a pair of jeans that I have that my mom made. And I still have them. I
Wow.
have some of the clothes
I
from
love
tour.
that.
So I love it.
If I was one of your kids, I would be in your closet. Be like,
Oh
sorry,
no,
mom,
yes,
gonna
my
need,
oldest,
gonna
who is
need these.
21, loves this 2000 stuff, right? And she was like, "Hey, mom, can I try that shirt on?" I was like, "You betcha, I can't fit in it anymore."
I won't make you speak to or own up to those fashion choices, but I loved them. I'm
Thank
here for them.
you.
This is also from the Jackson Sun, which apparently has been the source of all my research. They said her fashion sense shows a youthful flair. During the interview, she wore shimmery pink lipstick, glittery eyeshadow, and silver shoes. She almost always wears a silver Lucky Leo necklace. Do you have the necklace
Oh,
today?
my goodness, they mentioned the necklace because this is a whole thing.
Wait, tell me.
Okay, and not many people know this as well. So this was before I got my record deal. I think it might even be before I met Lynn or right after I met Lynn, I got on eBay. And so I found this Leo necklace and I loved it. I think it was handmade. It was like stamped or something. And then it said made in Mexico and it had like a black cord. I wore that thing everywhere. As soon as I put it on, like not long after that, I got my record deal, met Lynn, all this stuff. She said when I started touring, she was like, that necklace is not the prettiest. She was like, we're gonna have to take it off. So I took it off, broke my heart to do this. And I was on tour. I was on tour. So this necklace, it went through the ringer, being packed up and moved. And so it got lost on tour. After tour, my dad passed away. I lost my record deal. The management company dropped me. Fast forward like a year later, I got married and we had moved like twice at this point. And I was reaching into the closet to grab something off of a hanger and that necklace fell into the floor at my feet. There's a whole thing with that necklace. So for them to mention that necklace is wild. It's so wild. But they got the shimmery eyeshadow and the pink lipstick.
Yeah, we're still representing there, aren't we? Well, I just got chills from that story about your necklace. I don't know what that means, but it means something.
I don't either. I have this one now, which has got my angel numbers and the Leo symbol and stuff, because
Aw.
the other one is, in fact, gone forever.
But we'll always have that memory, and the Jackson Sun has immortalized it in print
That's
forever.
amazing. I am so like, I got chills thinking about that story. Wow.
They also said Tanya's image won't be the typical teen vamp many of her musical peers adopt. And then this is you. They want me to look kind of natural, she said. Meanwhile, she has glitter on her eyeliner.
I'm still going to keep the glitter. I don't care.
Love that. We can't change her.
If people know anything about me, it's glitter,
I
obviously.
love it. Popstar Magazine was a huge Tanya Mitchell fan. I still have all my pop stars, and Like pretty much every issue in the year 2000, we have Tanya Mitchell. So what was it like, living in Tennessee and you're, interacting with the teen press? Like, are you, doing like interviews from, we didn't have Zoom then. Are you on the phone? Like, hello, come on,
Okay,
Tanya Mitchell.
so for that one, I remember I did a photo shoot with Richard Morova. So he was the photographer and we clicked. It was just like family. I guess he worked maybe exclusively with Popstar at the time. I'm not really sure. We're still friends and I got to be really good friends with the editor. We would email each other back in like 2001, era, or Lynn, through Lynn. So we would email each other and do little interviews and he'd be like, "Hey, we're going to put you in Popstar next week." And then I'd write them and be like, "Hey, y'all going to put me in Popstar this week?"
I
So
love
we
that
had a
you're
great
your own.
relationship, but I went to the grocery store like every week to see if I was in it. I was so excited.
I love that story because I went to the grocery store every week to see if you were in
Yes.
it.
Oh my God.
This is January 2001. Like you actually haven't even released a single yet, and they're, pushing Tanya Mitchell. So I love this. The caption on this photo: Universal songstress Tanya Mitchell joined us for dinner one night and blew us away with her a cappella singing.
I remember that. We were in Orlando and we were having this big feast. Popstar magazine was there and all of the Universal. And I was eating food that I'd never even dreamt of eating in a little town in Tennessee, right? We're talking like octopus and all this stuff. Like, I was a little freaked out, but I just stood up and sang for the whole table, did a little bit of broken promises for the press, and they ran that story. And then while I was in Orlando, Universal took me over to Universal Studios because I get to skip the line and ride all the rides at Universal,
Yeah,
of course. So that trip, yeah, that trip, there's also some stuff in, I don't know if it's that magazine or the next one of some things at Universal Studios.
I perhaps have you be with Brian McKnight.
You do. I forgot that was in the magazine. So I would send them pictures from my personal collection and they would put them in the magazine.
I am obsessed with that concept. Like
Yes,
that
it
is
was
so cool.
amazing.
Actually, you were really good about documenting your times with other pop stars. I actually have so many photos of you with like every single guy of NSYNC, Willa
So
Ford,
this is
Joey
interesting
McIntyre.
because this is what my dad instilled in me. My dad said, take pictures of everything, everything. Document your life, take pictures of everything. And that's what I did. And we had these little stupid disposable cameras that you get like 28 shots on it and then hope a month later off a tour that the pictures turned out okay. Cause I took a picture with Hulk Hogan and my mom cut his head off.
This is actually the list of celebrities I have you photos of you with. Here, we've got BB Mac, Chris Kirkpatrick, Debbie Gibson, Eden's Crush, JC Chazé, Jessica Simpson, Joey Fatone, Joey McIntyre, Justin Timberlake. There's like 20 of those. Casey for Casey and JoJo, Lance Bass, LFO, obviously NSYNC as a whole, and Willa Ford. Like, do any of these people, did any of them stand out with any like friendship moments you created or any advice or fun memories?
Yes, well, of course, the guys from NSYNC, right? Because I mean, I was around them very often, so they were really like my brothers. Like Joey was like the funnest one of the group. They and even Justin now is giving me tips. Like a couple of years ago, telling me, hey, I think you should might be looking into doing this kind of music, or I think you should, go this route and stuff. So but back then, I remember specifically Eden's crush, Nicole, and I cannot pronounce her last name to save my life. She was on the Pussycat Dolls as well. I cannot say her
Mhm.
name. Her and one or two of the other girls, I remember they would come over because we opened for NSYNC at the same time. So they would come over and like give me clothes and my dancers and stuff and invite us over to like, drink some water and, eat with them and stuff. So they really, and Dream was super cool too. And there's 3LW as well, Little Romeo, and then 98 Degrees. I was around them often too. Boys to Men was probably my favorite people I ever met. Like they are genuine. I was expecting, you don't meet your idols, right? They were amazing. Like big fan personally of them.
I'm glad to hear that. And I'm glad that these Tanya Mitchell fan sites are still deeply buried on the internet so I could find all these photos.
I need that picture of me and Casey from Casey and JoJo. I don't even have that. Like I need some of these pictures. And
Yeah,
I'll send you what I have too.
we'll do a little trade. I have a whole Dropbox folder. Everything's organized. You're gonna love it. Another thing that I noticed was there's a video of you backstage at the NSYNC tour, and I believe you're giving an interview to like Jenny Jones, but you're also kind of being fed, not fed, but there's someone from the label or your press team there that's kind of like sort of coaching you, sort of feeding you things to say. So was that kind of scripting helpful or overwhelming? Or did you ever reach a point where you like pushed back and were like, no, I'm going to say what I want?
Well, I'm a rule follower, so I listened very well. It was a little overwhelming because if I can't just speak from the heart, I'm
What's
an
the point?
artist to a certain point, but I mean, the real me is just gonna have to come out. But I remember I think there's a clip on YouTube of the Jenny Jones
Yeah.
show on my bus, and
That's what I'm referencing. Like, someone says
yes.
like, tell the grandfather story, and then they like have you repeat stuff like, say it this
That
way.
was the Jenny Jones show. That was not my people. That was
Okay,
their
that's
camera guy, their producer, their interviewers and stuff. They were like, "Start your answers like this," which I needed to learn. I had been through media training and all that, but I mean, I take constructive criticism. I'll do it. Just let me know. We got through all of that, and this was on Father's Day in 2001, and we were in Chicago at Soldier Field, and up in the box where you can watch the game from, we went up there and we did some filming segments as well up there. And Justin came in and talked to the camera and told the camera how amazing I was, how talented I was, how he supported me, all of this. And then the Jenny Jones show gets canceled and all that footage is lost. I was in the room with him when he was doing it. I saw it with my own eyes and I have nothing to show for it.
I was gonna say that I don't remember ever, seeing that air. Only
Yep.
I think if they weren't for that behind the scenes video that's on YouTube, we wouldn't know about it.
There is definitely footage of that. If we could get a hold of that, oh gosh, like
Yeah, that
that
would
would
be
make my
crazy.
entire life because that was the last real big show that because my dad didn't come on tour for very long. He was there for maybe a week or 2 weeks. He got tired of it. Like he always felt like he wanted to live on a tour bus and he wanted this life. But when he was on it, he was just miserable. Like he just wanted to be at home and kind of watch from afar. He would record on VHS the TRL episodes I told you I was in the background of, or anything I
Yeah.
was going to be on. He was at home hitting record on his VHS player. So on Father's Day, I got to stand up in front of 50,000 plus people and wish him a happy Father's Day. And he stood up and he just waved and took it all in. It was like I could cry right now thinking about it. It was just so magical. And a month later, he'd be passed away.
And just knowing all the sacrifices he made, getting to see 50,000 people experience your talent, I'm sure that was just indescribable for him.
And here we are 25 years later, and he's still watching over it. We gonna
He
represent
really,
harder than we've ever represented.
yes, Tanya, I agree. I 100% agree. One important thing I wanted to talk to you about was, there were other young women connected to this NSYNC Backstreet orbit, like Willa Ford and Amanda Latona from Innocence, who experienced how complicated it was, to be the girl in the boy band ecosystem. So, did you feel that same dynamic, or was it more supportive or competitive from, boy band fans themselves?
I don't know. I feel like there was a lot of support. I think more support than not. Willa was super nice, and her fan base accepted me from what I saw. I mean, I'm sure there's haters out there making it a competition because that's just what people do. But I never felt like there was competition. Like even right now, there is an audience for everybody. So I never got the negative spins on those things, and I just feel like it was more support from the
Good.
fans and the peers for sure.
I loved your answer. You were frequently asked about being compared to Britney, Christina, all these other people, and you would always just say, "I'm Tanya, and I just want to share all
I
my
don't know.
music."
Just wait and see. Just wait and
Yeah,
see. Because I mean, I
let
didn't
me
grow
sing for
up
you.
with anything. You can be a somebody without being somebody.
It's a crowded field out there. You got Britney, Christina, Jessica Simpson. How is it that you get to open for NSYNC, and how do you set yourself apart?
Well, it's really hard, to set myself apart because, everybody's going to be compared to somebody. But, basically I'd say, I'm Tanya. I'm not Jessica. I'm not Brittany. So
Confidence is
Exactly.
a major part of it.
Pop in 2001 was so high stakes. 1 minute you're on tour with NSYNC, and the next, like the label has seemingly moved on. How did you process that cycle so young while also dealing with, family tragedy?
It was very difficult. That's kinda when I started bucking back a little bit because I felt betrayed and I felt, they didn't just let me down, they let my dad down, who had just passed away, and, so I had been in constant contact with Lynn and Justin's grandfather, being like, "What are we gonna do next?" And that's when Lynn was like, "Well, if they don't do anything, I'm gonna pay you out of my pocket for, you're the one I want to be the second single." Of course, none of that came to fruition, and I finally contacted my A&R guys and basically said, "Crap or get off the pot." let me go. Let me go. You're shelving me. I can't sign anything else. I can't record anything else. And then it was like maybe a couple of weeks after that, I got like my severance notice and stuff, which I knew was coming, but I was just like, just let me go. Just let me go so I can do what I need to do. And then shortly thereafter, management dropped me too because there was just nothing going on. So, but Lynn and I are still great friends. I just spoke to her. I'm going to her house like here in a couple of weekends. She says she's got a big box of CDs and vinyls and stuff she wants to give me because they're moving. So I'll definitely be
What?
seeing her soon.
Yes, you have to go save the Tanya archives.
I
I
have
wish I could come
to.
help
I have to
you
do it for the
digitize them.
people.
You must. You must. I feel like that's a lot to deal with as a young girl. You've been sold this dream, and just as quickly as they were to invest in you, they're moving on. And I'm glad that you don't take that personally because you
No.
simply can't.
I mean, the song, even without promotion, hit, Billboard Top 40. So it spoke for itself, and it will again.
Another thing I wanted to talk about was your internet presence. I feel like you cultivated one of the more active early 2000s fan site ecosystems, between TanyaJMitchell.com, where you had your own like blog that you would update us. You would also post like almost monthly photo shoots that feature some of these very iconic Y2K time
Oh, yeah.
capsule
That
clothing,
time.
which
Those pictures are cringe.
I don't agree with that, but whatever. Did you realize you were kind of pioneering the direct fan communication, but long before social media with your websites and stuff?
Well, so we had TanyaMitchell.com and Universal had purchased that and set that up. After everything kind of fell off, I wanted to buy it, but somebody swooped in and grabbed it. I went and bought myself TanyaJMitchell.com. And so I just, like I said, I started up on a website. All my fans were helping me run it, the street teams and the fan club and the newsletters and keeping people updated and helping with pictures. And so I don't know. I kind of feel like, it was just kind of like I just didn't give up. Like,
It just happened naturally. It just kind
yeah,
of was how you
absolutely.
felt.
I was like, I'm going to keep promoting myself even if I don't have a record label, And of course, I didn't really do much music. I kind of stopped for a while after my dad passed away. Took quite a hiatus and got married and did the family thing. And then I met up with Glenn back in 2010 and we started
Mhm.
working on some country stuff. So there's some country stuff floating around over there and like Reverb Nation and that kind of weird stuff right now. That stuff's really good too. So, but Glenn and I just wrote the song that is being released, Nobody Loves Me Like You. And so me and him wrote this one.
So yeah, I love that you have been able to still continue your collaborations with Gen. Can you talk about how Nobody Loves Me Like You came about?
So he and another gentleman were wanting to write a song with me and get me involved because we were working on this country project. And they reached out to me and said, can you write about, possibly about domestic violence? And I was like, yeah, I think I could do that because my sister was going through it at the time, and I saw her struggle and go through some things. And so I sat down with my notebook and I just put myself in that, closed my eyes, put myself in her situation, wrote down the lyrics that I was feeling, and then shot them over to again. And they helped with the music and, rearranging some of the lyrics and stuff like that. But we wrote it way separately. Like he was in, I think, New Jersey at the time, and I was, of course, in Tennessee. So, speed of information with the social medias and the texting and stuff definitely played a huge part in not having to like mail a CD.
I feel like it's such a strong return to music for you. It is a very beautiful song, very honest song. And I just want to thank you for, representing a different side of womanhood and not even womanhood, but life that people unfortunately do experience. And I love that, we have the Tanya Mitchell, I represent kind of pop, more lighthearted stuff. And now we're, still able to communicate adult themes.
Nobody loves me like you. And this is what you put me through. This is what you put me through. This is what you put me through. Nobody loves me.
Looking back now, 25 years after I Represent, what would you say you represent now?
I still represent the girls that want that. Go out and get that. Go out and get that. And screw those broken promises. I got something for you. I mean, should I stay? Should I go?
And there's no wasted breath there, honey.
because it's a little too late. Better stay out of my business. We
Um,
represent. Mhm.
that I'm shook. I'm shook.
Mind
Ooh.
blown.
Okay, so I was gonna ask you if you could re-record one song from I Represent today. What would it be and why? But I think we just got to do the whole album.
No, yeah, because now I've lived through everything. I would absolutely love to put my mature voice, true, no acting
Hmm.
voice on this. Like, Nobody Loves Me. I recorded that before I actually went through it myself. So this would be also a nice song to re-record.
Again, that is just really speaks to the power of song. And
Yes.
as awful and unfortunate as those experiences can be, you have to find some positive and, create something beautiful out of something
And there's
terrible.
no way at the tender age that I was at that I could bring any vulnerability really or rawness or something because I hadn't lived through it. Wasn't old enough, So, but now I could definitely re-record every one of these songs, and I'm actually really excited to manifest this
Yes, I'm
happening.
with you. I'm right there. So, what can we look forward to? I know we have this new song out. I've heard rumblings of a memoir. What else is going on in your world?
Oh man, we're working on TV shows, and who knows by the time this airs, we might have already done some things. Definitely more music.
Tanya, this has been such a fun experience. Like, I can't believe you agreed to talk with me. You're like, who's this random guy
I'll do
and
it
wanted to
anytime.
talk
You got
about? Like,
questions, you got stuff you want to send my way, I'll send you stuff. We're gonna make this happen. And I like truly appreciate you taking the time and knowing you were 8 years old. Like I'm gonna probably cry after this because that's just I have a 10-year-old daughter and I know how she feels about her artists and stuff, and that means a lot to me.
no, it means a lot to me that I was able to, find your art through all the competition at the time. You still found your audience. So I look
Yes.
forward to everything else coming from your world, and we'll talk soon.
Thank you so much. It's been a pleasure.